away for a few days, so not much has happened on this, but more will happen in a moment. Later on today we're heading out in this one to a local show at Toot Hill, in fact. Here it is. But more on that later. For now, we have some toys. So I have been dissatisfied with my fuel pipe arrangements. Basically, it's all a bit congested because there's a lot of pipes, a lot of connections when you have an external spoil tank, header tank, what have you. And it's quite easy to get in a mess. There it is. Okay, so we have some new 8mm E10 compatible fuel line, and we also have a in-tank, what you might call, or might sometimes be called, a sock. So go on my 044 Bosch fuel pump. So it's a very sort of primitive or basic form of fuel filter, but with welded tanks. Yeah, not mass produced. I'm not totally confident that there won't be any little bits inside the inside there for the thing to the pump to get blocked up with. So we have this thing. There we go. And that screws on the bottom of the pump, which is submerged in my spoil tank thing. So let me show you that. I'll switch the light on a bit more visibly. There we go, and another light. I'll bring you over in a second. And I've just realised I've got a boot full of bits of carpet, which won't help the explanation. Right, here we go. So they'll be dealt with another time. So here is my arrangement. So I have my fuel pressure regulator. I have in here a fuel. Can you even see that? Here we go. So yes, in here we have a fuel. I'm holding my light and the camera at the same time, so it's not terribly easy. The black thing with the brass bit sticking out is the fuel pressure regulator, and behind it is two black screw-on unions for the flow and return from the main fuel tank. And over here we have the header tank thing, which has got a number of connections to it, and it's in there. I mean, it is all working. Oh, we have a fuel filter over here. It is all working, but it's a bit of a mess, a bit too congested. Whereas over here there's loads of space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it all out a little bit, make it easier to work on, and that's why I need the new fuel hose. And then the sock thing can go inside that. So what I'm going to have to do now is basically pull all this lot out so that I can redo it more conveniently. So let's see how long that takes. Now I need to put you down, don't I? The trouble is, effectively a large mirror in the tank, in the boot here, which makes it very difficult to get the lighting. Anyway, now luckily the unions were all loose because I knew I was going to have to come back and do this. So it didn't take too much to undo them. So the first thing I'm going to do is fit my sock. It's a precaution. I mean, the welding looks lovely, doesn't it? But anyway, I'm going to make sure that the fuel pump doesn't get bunged up with bits of grit or what have you. I've had that happen before, quite a while ago. Right, out comes the pump. There we go, and that's my 044 cylindrical Bosch pump. It does look very clean in there, but I mean the obvious way for debris to get in there is directly from the fuel filler, but whatever. There we go, and it really ought to be tightened up. That's a very narrow head. Maybe I should take that off and then put the sock back on. That's what I shall do. What sort of spanner do I require for that? It's quite a big one. There we go. So this is purely filtration and not in any way pressurised, but nevertheless I shall put a bit of tension on it. Come on. Right, that'll do. Okay, that's the adapter. This is the sock, and I will drop it in. And I've just lost my O-ring. Oh, there it is. Right, don't lose the O-ring. Now, I want the terminals to go side by side, the electrical terminals that is, so the wires can come out this way and the fuel lines will go out that way. So it has to go in this orientation, but because this is kind of just clipped on, it can rotate freely. Okay. And I've got two O-rings, because as I saw before, one O-ring doesn't actually tighten up properly. Right, so that's, make sure I'm putting it on the right way up here with the V groove facing towards the O-ring. There we go. Okay, that's that bit done then, and now I need to work on the hoses and the positioning, I think, of the fuel pressure regulator. But anyway, this bit's dealt with. And there we have it. So the fuel pressure regulator has moved over there. The fuel filter has stayed where it is. Obviously there's a new fuel filter in there. The lift pump has stayed where it is, but it's all a little bit more relaxed up there. When I had the regulator over here, it was just a little bit difficult because we got two tubes coming out of the main tank here, which you might just hopefully better see there, and it was just a little bit congested. So now it will be much easier to deal with and maintain and understand, even, and understanding, you know, how the system works in the future could could be important. So that's an improvement. So earlier on, off camera, I did some basic stuff like topping up the cooling system. Discovered that the thermostatic radiator fan wasn't even screwed in properly, let alone tightened, as you do. Topped up the gearbox oil, the engine oil. So we are kind of getting towards a point where the engine could even consider going into action. But I'm conscious that I don't yet have any oil pressure, well, at least I don't know that I have. And to that effect, I've actually disconnected or partially disconnected one of my oil cooler connections. I'm basically waiting to see oil come out of it. So far there's been nothing, so I think what I'm going to have to do is to, just wondering what that was, I'm going to have to take spark plugs out, and I've never done that before on this engine, and made slightly more interesting by the fact it's got coil on plug rather than a distributor. So I'm going to have to take these things out. Ooh, where are you? I'm going to have to take these things out. So we'll see how easy that is or isn't. Yeah, really need to put you somewhere where you can see over. Okay, it's not too bad. Okay, let's see. Yes, it is 8. I wonder how long it is since these have been out. Well, I've had this engine for getting on for 4 years now, and I've never heard them out. Let's go to 3. So the objective of doing this, of course, is to reduce compression or eliminate compression on the engine to discourage any bearing stress, shall we say. Right, we'll see what this brings in. It was set to undo. Here it comes. And actually, I think the little rubber thing disappeared from inside there, so I'm going to have to fish it out with a... There we go. Well, it looks pretty decent. I imagine they're all pretty similar. I've no idea of the history of this engine. It was bought on eBay basically because it was cheap. Let's fish those out as well. Yep, exactly the same. Exactly the same, albeit with a bit of oil around it. Let's go and get the other side. And that one's broken, but luckily it came out. I suppose there's a fair chance I just broke it with this Now I'm having trouble getting my thing in here. Okay. Whoop. Something a little bit more compact needed. And where's my grabber thing? Did you see what I did with it? Oh, yeah, that's the same as the others. So we have spark plugs removed, and unfortunately one of them broke. I think the likelihood is that I did in fact break it. Never mind. They all look fairly innocuous. Pretty large gap, I've noticed. I haven't measured it, but that's looks like at least 2, maybe 3 millimeters. Such are modern ignition systems that I suspect it's fine. Anyway, that's the set with one broken. But whatever, all of that means that I can now turn the engine over without compression. Having eliminated any chance of, well, hopefully eliminated any chance of spinning a bearing while the oil pressure gets going. So I'm going to look for an oil leak to develop, which I can't get you in to see. Well, it's at the bottom of the radiator and it's just out of sight, but I can't get you any closer, so I'm going to have to do it. The bottom oil cooler hose is disconnected, well, almost, it's very loose. So anyway, let's try and turn the engine over without compression. Yes, it does that. Nothing. We have the complete oil pipes system, including an empty oil filter and an empty oil cooler to fill up. I'm just wondering whether I can prime the system. I'll give it another couple of goes because it shouldn't be doing too much damage without any compression on. Still nothing. Oh, we have a puddle developing. I'll bring it over to show you. There it is, a nice oil puddle. So I can now nip up that oil union. That's good. It means that we have pumping. This is something which on previous projects I have struggled with to get initial oil pressure up. So it's a bit of a relief. That's rather taking a long time, isn't it? Yeah. Right. Let's hope we don't get any copyright strikes. I'll keep talking over it so you can't hear. Not sure why it started up. Right. There we go. That appears to be at least finger tight. Right. Okay then. And I'm going to stop that. I am going to stop it. Do a little bit more of that. Now we know the oil is pumping. don't know if there'll be a change in sound. Was there a slight change in pitch just then? There might have been. Right, I suppose. I can see we've got another oil situation over there where the oil filter is. Okay, let's screw that in a bit tighter. Okay, a bit more. Alrighty then, but the other connections I cannot actually see. Oh, from here anyway, I'll have to look from underneath. No, it seems completely dry. Apart from the deliberately induced leak. Because if you don't know that the oil's flowing, you don't know whether it's leaking. As I've said in the past, I have struggled to get the initial prime for the oil pump to work, but not in this case by the look of it. Actually, while I'm here, I'll check the oil level up. I think I've topped this oil up. Yeah, I think actually it needs some more oil in it. Probably the level's gone down, partly due to that small leak, and partly obviously it's had to fill up all the galleries and the filter and all that stuff. So I'm not sure if I've got any left or not. Yes, I have. Let's whip that off. I think I'm going to use a funnel. Otherwise there's bound to be a self-inflicted spillage. Okay, let's put a little bit in. I'm envisaging the volume of an oil filter. Okay. Yeah, it might be full. It's so difficult to see. Oh yeah. Actually, it's just on the bottom mark. Progress continues. We got very close to putting fuel in the tank the other day, or yesterday, and then discovered I couldn't actually open the fuel filler. And the reason for that is you need to be able to push down on it to relieve the spring, and at the moment it's mounted on a rubber hose, so that's not really tenable. So the answer to that is to, if I can get the silly thing out again, right, the answer to that is I need a little boss thing to go inside there for the filler neck to sit onto, just to support it, so when you press down on the catch it's pressing on the bodywork, not the hose inside. Anyway, that's quite a detailed thing, but, and maybe more significantly than that, I also have other news regarding the fuel injection and all that business. So here I have the throttle motor, the original one, which goes on like this on the front of the engine. So this is the whole throttle motor assembly from the original 1999 AJ30 setup, And when I contacted Motorsport Electronics about the possibility of using it, they basically said, nah, get yourself a different motor, a different throttle, what's it called? Throttle body. Get yourself a different one. I was a bit disappointed, to be honest with you, and so I did sort of persevere a little bit, and I looked inside. So what I thought to myself, I wonder what's in here with its, I think, 12-way connector. And then when I took the bottom off of this thing, oh dear, a whole bunch of circuitry that does goodness knows what. So at that point I found myself agreeing with Motorsport Electronics that yeah, this is 20-year-old technology, first generation I suppose, fly-by-wire as it's known. So the idea that I might get the new ECU to cooperate with this thing is basically zero. So I bought a modern Bosch throttle body, which is a what? It doesn't say on here what the part number is. Maybe it does in here. There's a piece of paper. What does the piece of paper say? 0280750474. 0280750474. And I believe this is used on various Porsches among other things. Notable for its 3-inch bore size and its extreme simplicity compared to this old thing. But of course I need to fit it to the inlet manifold. Now, I have some friends down at, I can't think what they're called now, in Benfleet. I'm being thick for a moment. JA Doors Engineering down at Benfleet, and in particular Alan at JA Doors, who do all kinds of stuff. Many things they've done for me, including brake caliper adapters and so on. But this is what they've come up with. So thanks, Alan. Have a look at this, everyone. Now, can I show you? Yes, I can. I'll come round the other side. So this is my new throttle body, and this is my adapter. I'm going to have to bring you around further, aren't I? Let's get you off the tripod. Oh. So this is the Porsche style Bosch throttle body, which, as you can see, is a fraction of the size of the great big thing, and it's quite a well, I suppose dumb thing in a way. There's a motor down here. There's some gears up the side. A connector on the front down here somewhere. There it is. Connector just there, which I've ordered the plug for. And let's zoom you out here. So that's the connector plug. This is the mechanism, and this is obviously the flap. And yeah, remarkably smaller and simpler than the great big 20-year-old item. But of course the screws, the mountings, are actually very similar to these ones, which you can see back here. Very similar location, but different. And for that reason I needed an adapter, and this is what Alan at JA Doors Engineering has made for me. It's lovely, look at this. And he's milled that from solid aluminium. And as I say, the PCD or the spacing for the holes is, well, maybe you can make out there's a slight difference, but they were so similar, it's quite annoying really. Otherwise it could have bolted straight on there. But anyway, that wasn't quite possible, and so we have got this lovely, lovely adapter, which means I can connect a modern throttle body onto the original Jaguar inlet tract. So we are getting even closer. Now of course this does mean that this old plug here, which is what went into the original Jaguar throttle motor, can't be used. So this is actually moving further away from my original kind of ethos of using the original Jaguar system and the wiring harness and so on. But anyway, there's I think there's 12 wires in here, and that's way more than I need actually. I think we've got just 6 in there, so I'll just use 6 out of the 12 and then connect up to the other end, so it goes through to the ECU end of all this, and well, we should be away, he said. So I do need to work out how to connect the fly-by-wire, and there's a couple of possibilities for that. One is obviously combining it with the engine management system, and another one is use a standalone throttle control system, and I'm not sure which way to go at the minute, to be honest with you. But anyway, we are definitely a step further towards having a running engine. I just need to finalise that fuel filler thing. Finalise the fuel filler at the back here so that I can actually put petrol in the tank. So a bit of 3D printing I think is what's needed here. So, oh, why is the front up? The front is up because I'm working out how to fit the air conditioning compressor onto the engine. Of course, my oil lines are in the way, which I fitted only a few days ago, so I think they can be just moved, but a little bit of rerouting might be needed. But a mere bagatelle. You know, it's actually true that I think I'm starting to run out of jobs, kinda. It's so close to being a going concern that yeah, it's not far now, he said. See ya. If you got as far as this, thanks very much for watching, and in case you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. That would be really encouraging for me. So catch you on the next one.